We got a 50-50 set up here. So every circuit has 3 stations. You work for 50 seconds on the first, 50 on the second, 50 on the third, right back to the first one again for 50, second, and third, then a 50-second rest. So it's about 5 minutes of work, and then 50 seconds off, and then another 5 minutes of work. Equipment, you'll need pretty much everything that you've been using for any of these workouts before. You want sliders, you need a bench, some different weights, some lighter weights, all the way up to heavier weights. A heavier object, this would be more like a couch to anchor yourself for some Stallones. Yeah, so I think pretty much everything that you have been using have available for this one. First circuit, we're going to start with a push-up and knee drive. So you're going to go down and push up, bring your knee up. Second one is going to be a single leg alternated curl. So you'll want kind of light or medium weights for that. And then dead bugs on your back, just a static dead bug hold. So we'll get started with those push-ups in about 10 seconds here. So push-up, knee drive. And then you want your weights somewhere nearby for those curls.
Alrighty guys, here we go. A push-up and a single knee drive, a push-up and then the other side as well. A little bit of tempo here will do you good. Make sure the core stays tight on that knee drive, and also if you'd like to, you can go kneeling on the push-up, pop up to a knee drive. I like that, Ben, looks good. 30 seconds out here, guys. And then Ben mentioned it, but it is 50-50-50 today, so we will very quickly move from our push-up with a knee drive into that curl. Still 15 seconds. 10. 2. Then go ahead and grab your bells. Likely something between 5 and 15 pounds. One knee is going to be high. That ankle stays flexed, and then nice quick curls here. Trying not to swing that initial movement, so a very crisp curl, not a lot of swaying side to side the torso. And then the down leg likely has a little bit of knee bend, so soften that knee just a little bit, push the hips back, and then just do a million reps. 20 seconds out.
Almost there.
After the single leg alternating curl, we'll go into a static dead bug, so on the floor. 10 seconds. 5. Good, dead bug. You're gonna be sore from this.
Help him a little bit.
Let it be known, Kyle used the 15s. I went down to 10s.
15s are hard, man.
Weaker.
That sucks. It's a lot of work. Low back, really tighten the floor here. Think about almost, we talked about it a little bit, but the hip flexor position where you roll the hips forward and squeeze the glutes and really load the core, pull those bottom ribs down and control the breathing. 20 seconds out. On the back side of this, we'll go back to the push-up with the knee drive. 10 seconds. 5. Okay, go ahead guys, push up, knee drive, push up, knee drive. Work your breathing here. Stay in control of the movement. And then really focus on the lats as well. So as you go through that push up, the lats stay nice and tight, pulling the shoulders down snug. 30 seconds. 'Try to keep that nice quick tempo. 15 seconds out. Single leg alternating curl is next again. 10. 3, 2. Good, stand tall, one foot on the floor, the other knee is up, hopefully about hip height, ankles flexed. The down leg has a soft knee component, and then don't swing the weights to initiate, it's a curl. So curl, bend the elbow, use the bicep, not a lot of momentum here. And if you watch Ben as he comes down, he's going to start in kind of that hammer position or that neutral position, so the dumbbell is able to go all the way beside the hip. Then you're not hitting yourself in the hip bone. As you come up, rotate the wrists. If your weight's not sufficient, slow it down and get a good bicep squeeze at the top, 15 seconds out. And static dead bug to finish this series of 3. 5 seconds. 2. Dead bugs, guys, wrap it up. On the back side of this dead bug, we'll take 50 seconds to rest, and we'll get into a new series of 3 movements. $25. 10. 2. It's good. We're resting. 50 seconds of rest here.
That's pretty good coverage. Yeah, right. That's fine. Got it.
Our series is going to start with a single arm dumbbell bent over row. I'm going to use the bench here for some support for myself. Pull it out a little bit of space so you can see. Second thing is going to be 45-degree mountain climbers. So in that kind of push-up position, one knee across the body, one knee across the body. So big hip rotation, and then I'm going to go into, which sucks, a slow push-up. Who wrote that one, man? Who
Slow
does mountain
push-up.
climbers into push-ups?
Sometimes into push-ups.
That's dumb. That's dumb.
Just,
Okay.
just try not to use your arms or shoulders.
Yeah. At least we can start with some rows. Here we go.
All right, so bent over position, good flat back. You can have your feet straight across like Kyle does, or if you feel better getting into a split position, you could have one foot back. Chest is pushed forward on these. You're pulling that shoulder up and around. And as you probably know by now, as we've harped on it enough, is it's not so much about how high up you can get your elbow. It'll come up, around torso level, maybe a little higher, but then you pull the whole shoulder joint back and you squeeze that shoulder blade into the middle. That way the movement's coming from the shoulder joint and not just shrugging up that shoulder towards your ear. Got 12 seconds left. And then next one would be those mountain climbers, 45-degree mountain climbers. So if you want to use sliders, you can. 3, 2, 1. Now, let's see if it up your body circuit here. So you're pulling the knee across. Head can turn a little bit too as you do that. And so with these, you can change up tempo between a slow to a medium speed. You probably don't want to try to go really fast with these. You can lose control of the hips and the low back if you go too fast. But you can go really slow motion. We've done that in some of the live classes lately. We've been working on some really slow ones where you're crunching up. 15 to go. Or you can keep it a little more medium speed without a pause in between. Next one is going to be those push-ups in slow motion. 4 seconds to go. All right, so from the same position, might as well just keep your feet on the sliders if you use them. Very slow on the way down. Kyle wrote this workout in case you were wondering, so no excuses. Super slow. And then you're also trying to go slow on the way up too, which sometimes sucks a little more than the way down. So don't be afraid to go to your knees on this one. Lead with the chest. You got 20 seconds to go. Good breathing throughout. You'll get multiple breaths through each rep since you are trying to slow it down. 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okay, back up to the row. So use that object to lean on. Keeping the weight pretty distributed. You got some weight in your feet, some weight on that hand that's up on the bench or couch or chair, table. And same idea, you're pulling that shoulder back at the top rather than just seeing how high up the elbow can go. avoiding any shrugging. Exhale every time you pull. 20 seconds left.
And then after these, it's down to those 45-degree mountain climbers. Six seconds to go. All right, down to the floor, feet on sliders.
If you don't have sliders, just pull your knee across and working on that crunch position as you pull across. "25 seconds to go. A lot of breathing on this one. It becomes metabolic, but it's also a lot of endurance too, the shoulders and the core.
12 seconds to go. After these, you'll have those slow push-ups. Two, one.
All right, if you need to give your arms and shoulders a short rest here, go for it. And again, don't be afraid to go to the knees. Lats are engaged a lot, so not shrugging. Pull the shoulders down. Think about kind of rotating your hands into the floor, like you're screwing your hands into the floor. And several breaths on every rep. 25 seconds to go, then we'll take a 50-second break.
Last 10. Three, two, one.
Good. Middle, kind of ladder tap in this one, and then we've got that band one too. You want to do hip roll or something like that?
All right, so we got a little core coming at you for the next one, and then some squats, dude. First one's going to be plank, front plank, and then hip turns or hip rotations, side to side. Second one's going to be a 90-degree crunch. So you'll be laying on your back here, and then third one's going to be goblet squats. So you'll want some weight, probably a heavy weight, usually about the heaviest you've got available, should be good. And it's going to be squats, goblet squats. So plank first.
Plank with kind of big hip motion, guys, up and over the top. So plank with rotation or plank hip roll. If you can, the heels and ankles are going to stay connected. If you think about the midline of your body being kind of belly button on the floor, think about taking the hip bones as far from the midline as you can. Keeping both forearms tight on the floor while you go through that motion. 15 seconds out. On the back side of this, we're going to go to a 90-degree crunch. So on our backs, knees bent, hips bent, 5. Good, on your backs. Nice, easy crunches here. Try to keep the lower half pretty stationary. Driving the back down like your dead bug. Little exhales would come up. If you want, you can really roll back into it, open the rib cage. If you want to keep it really small and kind of active the entire time, that's great too. 25 seconds, not pulling too hard on the neck there, just allowing the hands to relax. After this one, in 20 seconds, we're going to go right into a goblet squat, so something pretty heavy. If you have 2 medium bells but not a heavy bell, maybe hold them like you would a thruster, but don't overhead press. 8 seconds. 3, 2, good. Dumbbell goblet squat. Nice big sit. Perhaps allowing the knees to slide out a little bit as we sit down. Definitely transfer the weight into the heels. And then if you're pairing your breathing, it's probably an inhale down, stand tall, exhale. If you're gonna go through some tempo here, you're welcome to. You might not stand all the way up. Not quite a speed squat, but maybe not locking out at the top. If that weight's too light for you, stay in kind of a focused or a constant tension position. 10 seconds. 5. And back into the plank with hip rotation. Forearms down, feet together if we can. Big hips one side, big hips the other side. And only go down here as far as you're comfortable with or uncomfortable with, as much uncomfortableness as you can handle. It should be pretty aggressive once you get way out there in space. That opposing forearm's gonna feel light, make sure it stays driven down. 20 seconds out. 10. And then as a reminder, after this, on your back, knees 90, hips 90 for some crunches. 5, 2. If this is too much in the back or hip flexors, feel free to put the feet down. If you want to get a little more aggressive, make sure those knees are really over the hip bones. So perhaps push the feet 2 inches away from the body. So extend just a little bit and then keep them stationary there as you crunch. But when you push the feet away from the body, make sure the back stays down. So the back is still very tight on the floor. And then we're gonna go into a very focused extension, just a little reach, and hold that position while you crunch. 15 seconds out. Alternatively, if you are fatigued, back's moving around, pull the knees closer to the body, and then continue for 10. 5. Last thing, the series, goblet squat. Grab your bell or bells or book bag or pot of water, child, dog, spray band, whatever you have. Should all look the same. 30 seconds out. Then we're gonna take a 50-second rest. 20. Good, last 10 seconds, and then a rest coming up. 5. Good, let's breathe. Roof. First thing coming up, a push-up with a pulse. So we'll drop down, hopefully full range of motion, chest near the floor, add a pulse, add a press, add a pulse, add a press. Second thing, split squat. You need a bench, coffee table, chair, something. 1 foot up. We'll do 1 pulse, 1 hop, 1 pulse, 1 hop, and then into we use a kettlebell for a Stallone. You have coffee table or chair leg or something heavy. You'll need that.
So push up with a pulse at the bottom. You're keeping that pulse pretty close to the floor, maybe 6 or 8 inches of movement on the pulse. And as we've mentioned a lot on these before, to make them a little harder, slow down the pulse, spend more time in that in between and less time up at the top. 25 seconds to go. Usually, depending on your speed, you can get 1 good exhale every time you get that last push up. If you're really slowing that pulse down the middle, you might get another breath in there too. So 12 seconds to go. After this, you're gonna get your foot up onto the bench or box or chair for those split squat, pulse and hop. 3, 2, 1, and 1 foot elevated. Find the right distance away from that object so you don't feel too cramped. You've got some room to drop that knee down. And the deeper you get on these, especially on that pulse, the more challenging it's gonna be. And then the higher you get up on the hop, the harder it's gonna be there too. You can always take the jump out of it. Still pushing through that leg pretty forcefully like you are trying to jump even if you're staying down. So 20 to go. Remember which leg you're doing. It's that nice landing. Even if you're not jumping, you still sit into it like you're landing from a jump. It's kind of quicker on the sit. 8 seconds to go. A couple more of these and then you're onto your back for those Stallones. So you want your heavy object. 2, 1. So this could be the underside of your couch or a heavy chair or something like that. Make sure it is stable. It's not going to come up on you when you're putting a lot of pressure into it. So you get the legs high and then very slow on the way down. This is one of those where we're only going for a couple reps, a couple really good reps. Slow-mo, then the way up can be slightly faster. Try to get the hips up. And if you can, like what Kyle's doing to make these really hard, start dropping the legs a little bit, go real slow as those hips are still up off the floor. Any more of that gets really tough. 8 seconds left. After this, you're going to that push-up with a pulse. 2, 1. Just go down, pulse, drive away from the floor with that exhale. And as mentioned, make it harder either by slowing that pulse down or just getting a ton of reps in too. So you could also make it harder by speeding up, just not taking breaks as you go. So 20 seconds left. Yeah, that's, I know, longer than you wanted to hear, I think. 12 seconds, then you'll get that foot up for the elevated split squat, pulse and hop. 4, 3, 2, 1. So elevated, pulse, and then hop. And try to get about the same depth you were getting on the other side. Same amount of power on the way up as you were getting on the other side. We want it to stay even. Back leg only has a little weight into it to keep you balanced, but not trying to push through that back leg much on the hop. We want front leg doing the work. 20 to go. Okay, these are looking good. 10 seconds, and then you're going to be onto your back for those Stallones for your last one in this circuit. Be aware of how your back's feeling. If it's feeling kind of tight on these or a little achy, don't go for a big lift off the floor with the hips. Focus more just on the leg lift and leg lower. You can always bend the knees a little bit too to take some pressure off there. Otherwise, if you're feeling good, very slow reps, legs as straight as you can keep them, get the hips elevated, 20 seconds left. Last 10, then you get a break. 3, 2, 1. All right, recover here.
I guess an indecent exposure. My shorts are a little short.
Yeah, I noticed these are
Never worn them before.
these are short running shorts. We got some underwear on. Okay. Gonna have. Forgot this one. We're gonna have our rehab side plank. So that's gonna be the side plank with the leg lift. You'll be down on your knee. We're on the lunge base pulse hop. So coming off of those last pulse hops, this is similar, but your foot's not elevated. And then we'll have hand walks, just our regular ones forward and backwards on there. So we'll start with that rehab side plank. Down on a knee.
Ben's got a good demo here. The knee is stacked under the body at 90 degrees. That foot behind you can kind of act as a little bit of a support base too. So that foot is down behind. And then if you look at Ben's angles, he's not so tight that he's not in a side plank. So if your forearm and knee are too close together, you're gonna have a very high hip position. You wanna make sure they're separated to where it's still a good side plank. And a nice long leg on the top leg lift. 15 seconds out. And lunge base pulse hop, 10 seconds. But then as I had that Stallone to recover a bit, you guys will have hand walks to recover after this. So in a nice big lunge base, a little pulse, little hop. Huzzah! Arm integration helps a lot here. If you're tough, or you're gonna be tough for the next 35 seconds, arms across the chest or arms on head can intensify this dramatically, because then you have nothing to swing around. But we have pulse hop for another 25. And then after this, we're gonna get into a hand walkout. 15 seconds. Make sure you know which foot's forward, which foot's back. So when we switch sides, you switch sides in 10. I actually really wanted pulse hops today, but I didn't want to separate my band series, so I gave them to you. 3.
Should have done pulse hops and then pulse
Oh,
hops.
gross.
The same leg, you have to do the same leg too.
That would be
It's
disgusting.
like 2 minutes straight.
That's a horrible idea, guys. We're not gonna do that. There you go. Look at hand walk. That's good. As you hand walk back in, drive those hips up. You might find yourself standing vertically at the top as far as coming up to get some air, or you might just stay down. It's good. 25 seconds out. When you come back in, try to keep the hips squared up, so don't have a lot of side to side wiggliness. Same thing on the out. Everything is nice and still. 15 seconds. 10. If you get too far, drop the knees to get back in. 3, 2. Let's go back to rehab side plank. So on that bottom knee again, switching sides. The foot's rolled behind us. The elbow and the knee are an appropriate distance away from each other, so that bottom oblique's still working. Top leg lift, top leg lift. And then one other cue, think about squeezing the glutes and pushing your hip bones toward the front of you. So drive your hips forward. That should allow you to just use the glute, maybe some TFL, but we are hip driven. And side plank. 15 seconds. Next thing, pulse hop in that lunge base. You'll be all right. 10 seconds here. 5. 2. Lunge base. Ben had his left foot forward last time. He will now have his right foot forward. Little pulse, little hop. And the more depth we get here, the crazier it's going to be. The more air we get, the crazier it's going to be. Just make sure that landing's nice and soft and controlled. So as we impact the floor, we're not dropping immediately into that lunge. You're going to put the brakes on, slow the body down a little bit. 15 seconds here. And then last thing in this series will be the hand walk. 5. 4. Hand walk out, guys. Out overhead as much as we can. Then when we come back in, drive those hips up, keep the hips still. Take that hamstring stretch. A breath at the top if you need to. And Ben's doing a good job. Once he gets all the way in position, he's adding a little bit of a pause out there. So if you find yourself in a good position, but you can't walk any further, maybe have a little pause and then walk back in. 15 seconds to go, and then a rest period. 10. 2. Resting. The next series, we're going to have 3 band movements. Bands are going to be above the kneecaps. First thing is going to be a quad plank. Second thing, we'll roll over into a glute bridge. third thing, we have not done it before, but it's going to be plank with a lateral tap. We're going to keep the band on above the knees. So, tired, so get the band on. Put it all the way up here, and I can't do that. I'm not flexible like that. I think I also put my wrong footage first.
Let's keep that band above the knees. It's nice if it's pretty flat on your leg. I'm going to go into a quad plank in about 7 seconds here. So it's pretty much all fours position, but you're picking the knees up. So really it is 4 points of contact there. Knees just barely elevated off the floor. People tend to cheat a little bit by getting the hips really high and the knees up off the ground a lot. But everything's pretty compact. So from the shoulders to the hips, you're kind of compressing everything to stay really solid there. Quads are definitely going to be engaged too, holding this position. You got 25 seconds to go. Just try to think about as deep of breaths as you can take. 15 to go, and then the second one is the glute bridge, so you'll be on your back, keeping the band right where it is. 7, 2, 1. All right, flip it over. You can be on your heels for this one, or if you want to keep your toes down, still keep most of the weight in your heels, even if you do have the feet flat. But drive up, squeeze the butt tight at the top position, clenching everything tight, and then still try to keep tension in the glutes, still try to squeeze as you're going down too. Instead of just relaxing and dropping, you slowly lower down to the floor. Got 22 seconds to go. And the whole time you're trying to push your knees out into the band too. By getting some of that external force, you're actually getting the glutes to engage a little better too in some different areas of the glutes. 8 seconds left. And it's going to be that plank with the toe tap, but you'll keep the band on. 2, 1. So flip over to your elbows. Feet will start close together. And then it's that little lateral tap, but with the band, you're going to have some resistance there trying to fight you as you reach out. So you get as far as you can where you can still maintain that plank position. If you find yourself like rolling way to the one side, then maybe don't reach out quite as far. But the hips have to work a little bit more against the band. How those feel, Kyle?
Okay.
All right.
So initiate too quick, right? You
Yeah.
cheat a lot. I'm not cheating. I'm just saying you could.
Right, it's possible.
Sorry.
Tempo's kind of medium. You can slow it down. If you need to take pauses in between a little bit, that's okay. 10 seconds left. And then you will be back to that quad plank, keeping the band same place. 3, 2, 1. So more core activation here. You might feel it a little bit more than the last time since we're coming off the plank. Still just trying to breathe on these. So abs are engaged pretty well, but trying to stay still pretty long through the spine. So flat back, not necessarily crunching up too much, and definitely not arching down towards the floor. So 20 to go. You got glute bridges next. Last 10. So drive up, at least your core isn't not fully relaxed here, but at the same time it should be a lot of recovery after those last 2. So thinking more butt, hamstrings are going to be kicking in a little bit here too, but we want more glute. 18 to go. Exhale, you're driving up on these. You've got 6 seconds left. Then flip it over into that plank with the lateral tap one last time, and then we'll take a break. So you initiate it in a good plank position. You can always just hold the regular plank if you're getting really, really fatigued on this, or you feel like your core is starting to give out on you, you can take away that extra side tap there. But abs are clenched up. You're always kind of like a normal plank, keeping those elbows kind of pulled back towards your toes to get some more tension through the abs. 18 to go. Eight seconds left. And got it. Nice. Now, what if I were to tell you that you should keep your bands on for a whole nother band circuit on the last one? Just kidding. We're not going to be doing that. We are going to go into some push-ups. I guess you could wear a band for this one. Side plank, you could wear a band for that one. What's the last one? I mean, you really could. You could wear a band for all of these if you wanted to. First one's going to be a push-up off of one foot or one knee. Second one's going to be a side plank with a reach. And then last one's speed squats here. So kind of like a squat jump, but without the jump. All right, push-ups off of one foot or one knee first.
Ben's got a demo from the toes, legs going to be extended, the glutes tight, should be long from heel to head. If this is too much on that one hip flexor, maybe do 2 or 3 reps and switch sides. So if your hips are weak, or not weak, but maybe irritated, let's go ahead and switch sides every few push-ups. Otherwise, stay on one side for duration. 25 seconds. Side plank reach will be the next exercise. 15 seconds out, you can steal from that rehab side plank with that bottom knee down on the floor if you'd like to, or need to. 10 seconds. 5. Side plank. You know when you work hard and your ears get kind of like a little funny?
Yep.
My first series got me. I don't even remember what it was, but it was hard. Maybe it was 45-degree mountain climbers. I don't know. Something. Maybe it's my body's way of thinking it's like at elevation because I'm so deprived of air right now. Just a natural response. 20 seconds out, guys. Well, let's turn the gym into an altitude gym. 10 seconds.
The workout's gonna be like 5 minutes and people
Yeah.
feel pretty crushed.
But it's like 8,000 foot.
Yeah.
2.
What's next?
I didn't read. What is it?
Speed squats.
Speed squats. Speed squats, guys. Nice quick up.
Yeah, maybe we could simulate 8,000 feet. Like 15-minute workout. 15 minutes is just stretching, and that's pretty good.
Wonder how long it would take if you had a very closed environment, how long it would take to pressurize at that. Like say we're in here stretching for 5 minutes in a cube. Does it take 5 minutes to rid the room of that oxygen, or is it like a 45-minute endeavor? 15 seconds out.
I don't know if that followed.
Okay, we're at sea level-ish.
Yeah.
People come in the gym, doors closed. How long does it take to get us
Oh,
to 8,000 foot?
5.
5.
Place like this, it'll take a while. But
Because you couldn't come in late because I wouldn't open the door. Here we go, guys. Back on that single knee or single foot push-up. I'm going to fiddle with the music. Make sure the lats are tight. Try to control those hips so they're not moving around. 30 seconds. $15 seconds out, and then into the side plank with rotation again. 10. We'll call it side plank reach, that way it's not thought as a rotation. Side plank reach, right?
is that?
Yeah,
is it
same thing.
wrong?
No,
Just
But I always say rotation, people think hips. This is just a reach under body.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with a rotation too.
Sure.
That's it.
It's about the extent of mine and Ben's arguments and disagreements.
You saw a lot of violence right there and a lot of anger.
If it gets any worse, one of us walks out and has to do the entire workout, so we keep it pretty civil.
It's a good way to keep a good relationship, is know what the consequences are if it falls apart.
15 seconds here. The rule is first one out the door gets to leave, so.
You're in a lot better
5,
position than I am right now.
3, 2, speed squats, is that what it is?
Probably. Oh, that's the last thing, yeah?
Yeah, it's good, guys. After this, we'll have 3 stretches. We'll take probably 30 seconds to breathe, and then we'll settle into the stretches. We'll go 50 seconds of stretching, 10 seconds of recovery. The 3 movements are going to be pigeon stretch, so laying on top of that leg, a core stretch, and then a kneeling hip flexor stretch. 25 seconds here in those speed squats, though. Nice, quick, aggressive tempo. 15. 10. 2.
Oh, yeah.
Let's take 30 seconds to breathe.
Oh,
I like the little feeder though.
well, you ran this morning. You ran before this, too.
10 seconds now, guys. It was light by 5 a.m., so we got after it this morning. Good. Here we go, pigeon stretch. That opposite heel should end up in the other hip flexor. Knee position's kind of up to you. It could be tight to the chest, or it could swing a little bit wider. Most of us are going to be on our forearms. If you're not very flexible, you're on your palms. And if you are quite flexible, sprawl out, allow the chest to kind of fall over top of that knee toward the floor. You can do a little hip shift side to side here. If you can't find a good stretch, maybe move the hips around a little bit until you find something that feels a bit tight. But this is just a stretch, so don't overdo it and strain a hamstring here. 15 seconds out. We'll take a 10-second breather. We'll switch sides. 10. 2. 'And switching sides, same thing. That heel is going to be somewhere around the hip of the other side. Knee can be in line with the spine or kind of shoot it wide. It's up to you. Deep breaths, trying to get into a recovery mentality. It's a good word. 30 seconds out. Could let that chin fall. A couple deep breaths. 20 seconds. Our next thing, we're going to go into a core stretch. So we'll lay down, kind of that cobra position. Should start from belly on the floor, and use the arms to kind of walk the torso up. 10 seconds. Core stretch, guys. Hips down, chest up, very gentle. Don't get too aggressive here. Try to carry some tension in the lats, so as we're in that position, the shoulders aren't hiking up to the ears. A little bit of sway side to side. The shoulders is fine. You might get a little bit of oblique stretch and tension out of it. "25 seconds. It's a long hold. We're just going to do this a single time, and we'll go into our kneeling hip flexor stretch. 15 seconds. 5. 4. Ben's going to use a blue pad. If you have some sort of cushion or ab mat, you can put it down on the floor. Fantastic. And glutes are tight. Hips are rolled forward under the body. And if we're using our hands to press down, make sure it's a little bit of core there, right? You're squeezing the abs to intensify that stretch a bit. Have you ever seen those attachments that go on iPhones and stuff that change the camera lens?
Yeah, like the bubble.
I wonder if we could do that on the laptops. Ours for home stuff to give it a wide lens. I wonder if it would work the same way. Do you think so?
Probably. Yeah, I used to have one, someone gave me a long time ago. I didn't use much, but it just like clips on. I mean, it's like a
Right.
chip clip thing.
Right,
So, I mean,
right,
you just
right.
go right over it.
5 seconds.
Yeah, as long as we just need to be the right, like just a little wider, but not that much.
Otherwise you start seeing my messes. Got the street bike, the tools, the elliptical, everything just shoved over there.
My brother sent me an article, the one in Colorado, in one of the towns not too far from them. Somebody left their garage open and there was some mountain lions sleeping under the car. There's a picture. There's like a car sitting there, and then you just see this like a cat sleeping under a car.
30 seconds out. Was it cold?
Was it cold?
I wonder if it went under the car because it was nice and
That's
warm
what,
afterwards.
Yeah, no, that's why cats, like out on my grandparents' farm, it was always like check your car before you leave because there's cats all over underneath it. So it's just like, I'm hanging out.
15 seconds, guys. Last thing today.
Just taking a nap. Like it just like walked in and was like, oh, here's a good spot to lay down.
I saw a bunny in my yard.
My
5.
dad's like, we have chipmunks in the garage.
All right, guys, that's it. Thanks for joining us on the 50/50.
Sweet. Nice work, everybody.
Have a good morning, afternoon, or evening. Bye-bye.